We will have one more session because we have a special guest who came to Czech Republic, to Prague. He's our VP for Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and Central and Eastern Europe. It's Philip Justus. He's a guy that has a multiple angle view on the situation. He used to work for one of the most demanding clients, eBay, for quite a long time, building up the European business from 2000 to 2006, and then sitting in San Jose and managing the US business, also for PayPal. So I think with further ado, I would ask on stage Arthur and Philip. Please join me for the closing session.
Thank you. We need to ask everybody to stand up. How's the energy level in the room? Energy level? Okay. Can you all stand up for a second, please? Okay, that's better. I heard from the guy who gave the speech inside that it's all about your physical energy that drives your mental energy. So can you all stand on one foot, please? Go like this. Go like this. Okay. Other foot. Other foot. Okay. How's the energy now? Better? Yes? That's much better. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's career development tip from today is bring your boss to the stage just between a very long day and barbecue dinner. Yeah, that's a very, very good idea, but let me try. So, Philip, as we found out already, you really have very cool experience. Yeah, you are on the client side, you are on the agency side, and you are right now in Google. So, looking from the perspective, if you talk to advertisers in Germany, you have very different kinds, like Zalando, like BMW. What is changing in clients' expectations? What do you see? What they tell you?
So in a way, I danced around too much. So in a way, I think advertisers want some things that are very similar that they've always wanted from online advertising, and that's business growth at a good price. Sorry, that's better. But on the other hand, actually, advertisers are getting more and more different, in the sense that their business models are getting different. I apologize. Business models are getting different, and so on the one hand, we have these performance clients that are incredibly sophisticated, that always want the latest and greatest tool from us. We switch the mics. That's probably a good idea. Apologies. So, what I was trying to say is some things stay the same, growing your business at a good price. Some things become more complex in this world. So performance advertisers that are incredibly sophisticated, I think what they're expecting is better and better tools to run their business. They're expecting support from us and from their agencies as they go international and go global. And they're expecting insight into their numbers. They're expecting sophisticated attribution models. So that's the performance side. They have very high expectations on what they want from us and from you as their agencies. And then I think on the more traditional side, so I would say the companies that have just woken up to the internet that are now going online, whether they're small or large, they really want a lot of hand-holding along the process. Because they need to build skills in-house. They start from a different place. They are sophisticated in how they buy, but not yet how they act online. And so I think the reality of our joint business is there's a lot of different types of customers out there who want everything from super complex, super high expectations on tools to please hold my hand and help me go digital as I go online tomorrow. And that makes your life and our life a bit more complex than it was a few years ago.
So agency landscape in Germany was always really big business. Huh? A lot of them making a lot of money. What's changing? Huh? Do agencies follow the changes with customers, what they do?
Sure. So from an agency side, what we see in Germany is a couple of things. One is we see a lot of consolidation in the market. So the traditional SEM and performance agencies, some of them have been acquired by Big Six companies. Some of them actually have started to form groups of, let's say, independent agencies going under the same roof, under the same umbrella, maybe with a private equity investor behind it. So we see market consolidation. We also see new entrants into the agency market. So not necessarily only around the topic of SEM, but for example, around topics such as attribution and analytics. So there's new players coming into the market, finding new slices of profitable growth for them. And so it's an interesting point of time where the players that are successful right now actually are somewhat different than the performance agency players from 10 years ago. And there's more crossover also between the world of the traditional big six and then the world of the performance agencies.
Okay, so what's going with the most important thing for agencies? Margins. Yeah? We have so many opportunities. Are margins going up?
I mean, it's probably similar to most of your markets. The reality is that margins for agencies are under pressure because customers are getting more sophisticated and there's more competition. And both of those, more competition and sophisticated buying on the customer side, means that margins are under pressure. And I think that's no new news for you. I would imagine you have the same situation here. And so the question, of course, is then how do agencies deal with that? What are the right answers to that? And I think we heard lots of good answers here throughout the day. And some of those I see being used by agencies in Germany as well. So everything from how do you manage your prices, what's the business model of where you charge out what you offer in terms of services to your customers, and how do you think about prices and margins and profits? And I think that's a really key piece in this equation. And so the more successful of our German agency partners do this very well. They adapt, they change their business model depending on the type of service that they offer. It's not always the same in terms of the percentages that they charge or whether they charge with, flat fees or hours. They're very flexible depending on the type of service that they offer and how they charge to customers.
We asked our agencies in this room, in the survey we did, about where they see opportunities for the growth. And not surprisingly, but interestingly, the number one came branding. The agencies that we have here want to go into branding area, which was usually the space for big six agencies. So do you see that something is changing and you see more agencies coming from the internet digital world and entering into this space of big sixes in Germany?
So I saw the results of the survey and was some things were not surprising. What was not surprising was that the number one growth area that all of you saw in what we saw this morning was finding and attracting new big customers. Okay, so we all grow with new customers, that's obvious. Branding, to me, was interesting in that you're saying probably most of you come more from the performance side and you say branding is a natural area for you to expand into. And I can understand where that comes from because we also see on the advertiser side that our performance advertisers in Germany are saying we want to understand the full funnel. So we need to understand not just the purchase funnel at the very end of it when it's very close to the transaction, but we want to be excellent in the entire funnel, including the upper funnel. So when it's about brand awareness, when it's about interest and desire. Let me give you an example from a customer like Zalando, who I would say is a very sophisticated customer when it comes to performance. Well, they're also interested in understanding the full funnel, including making sure that their brand is advertised, in all media, in TV, in YouTube, and sort of with a whole range of marketing tools. So from that perspective, it makes sense to say, if I'm a great performance-oriented agency in the lower funnel, close to the transaction, I need to understand the upper funnel. However, that means you're going head-to-head in competition with companies, with agencies who've already done this for a long time. And so I think you need to figure out what's your key point of differentiation. Is it the analytics? Is it the way that you can measure the sort of the branding piece? Is it the way that you can deliver and execute it? So be really clear on what you can do better than the sort of the big six media agencies as you go into a little bit of their game and their territory.
Okay, in the same survey, the same question, mobile actually came very low. So a surprisingly low number of people in the room believes that the future of growth is in mobile. I wonder why, because we clearly understand that people move to mobile, consumers move to mobile, users move to mobile. And I wonder that perhaps simply mobile today is still too difficult, hard to measure, there is very hard to calculate ROI. So what is mobile right now for agencies in Germany? It is more issue or opportunity? What they do?
Yeah, I was surprised by that mobile being relatively low on the list. And I think from what I see in other markets, what I see in Germany, also in Switzerland, is mobile is the one topic that everybody just needs to do, because the advertisers are demanding it, because the consumers are already doing it. And so that means that the agencies have to be the key drivers of mobile. So it's, I would say it's not a question of is it important, it's the new reality. It's where all the growth is, it's where all the growth in spending from the advertisers is, it's where all the growth in consumer activity is happening. So even if you look at where, we'd see it in our Google numbers, where is the growth coming from in search queries? Where is the growth coming from in YouTube usage? Where is the growth coming from in display? It's all on mobile. So if you want to be in the growth area, you have to be on mobile as an agency, and you have to make your customers, your advertisers understand that it's not optional. It's the lifeblood. And if they don't have a winning mobile strategy now, they will be left out going forward. So maybe you all didn't answer mobile that high because for you it's obvious and self-evident. But if you thought, well, mobile is kind of, I can deal with that in 2 years, I guess my advice would be do it now and be a leader for on behalf of your advertisers in terms of mobile, because that's where all the growth is coming from.
Germany is known for a very strong economy. This economy is driven strongly by export. Does it mean that export creates really great space for agencies, for digital agencies to thrive?
Yeah, I think this has changed over the last years, because I would say 5 years ago, probably my answer would have been no. Germany is export-driven, yes, but agencies, German agencies don't play a big role in this. And now this has changed, because more and more the advertisers are saying, well, what we're trying to do is go from 5 countries to 10, or from 10 to 20, or we're trying to actually address 50 countries, and we need an agency partner who helps us do that, because we don't want to deal with the complexity of adjusting all of our campaigns, translating them, and making them into a global framework. And so I see that now as a real request from advertisers. And we have some agencies, I spoke about innovation on the agency side. In fact, we have some new agencies that really pitch themselves as we are your partners for going international. We have tools that allow it, that make it very simple for you to take your campaigns to multiple markets. We help you build sophisticated analytics tools for all your international markets. So I think seeing that as a growth opportunity for you is definitely there, because the budgets are going international and you have clients in your markets who want to take their business international.
Okay, and 3 tips you would give to a head of agency. Imagine you are head of agency. What would you tell your people to do? 3 things.
3. If I was the head of an agency, the funny thing is I used to be quite involved in my last job running a company called Zanox, because we had a performance agency as part of that group. And I would say help your advertisers understand where their growth will come from. And that means both regionally, help them identify the right set of markets, and then help them execute on those markets as they kind of take their business international. That's really something that advertisers are having a hard time to do, and if you can figure it out for them, that should be a profitable business model. And then the second point would be really around mobile. And I said that before, I think mobile is not optional. Mobile is where all the growth will come from. So making your customers be able to measure the full impact of mobile and not just see it as, I measure it on a very isolated basis, but you have to understand the cross-channel effects in mobile. You have to understand that mobile is not just a channel for action, it's also a channel for research. And helping your customer appreciate that, I think, is a huge imperative for any agency. So mobile and export.
Probably 2 tips is enough. Yep.
I would reduce it to 2 tips.
Perfect. Thank you very much, and thank you. Thank all of you for being here. Just last housekeeping from Andrei, and we go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.